Mama's boys.
Yes.
Sarah recently retired from her job of 23 years.
Yes.
Is Sarah working now?
She's not working now.
No, she's not working now. She retired
Yes,
from her
she
job.
retired from her job.
How long had Sarah worked at her job?
Sarah had worked at her job for 23 years.
23 years. Sarah had worked at her job for 23 years.
Yes.
When did she retire?
She recently retired.
Well, recently. She recently retired.
Yes.
Did she retire a long time ago?
No, not a long time ago. She recently retired.
No, not a long time ago. She recently retired.
Yes.
Where did she retire from? Or what did she retire from?
She retired from her job for 23 years.
Her job of 23 years.
Her job of
She retired from her
23
job
years.
of 23 years.
Okay.
And who retired from her job of 23 years?
Sarah retired from her job of 23 years.
Sarah, that's right. Sarah retired from her job of 23 years.
Yes.
Because she retired, Sarah has less money than she used to.
Oh,
Oh. So does Sarah now have a lot of money?
no, Sarah doesn't have a lot of money now.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't have a lot of money. Does she have more money now? Or did she have more money in the past?
She had more money in the past.
Before.
Yes, in the past.
Well, she had more money in the past. She had more money before.
Yes.
Why did she have more money before?
Because she retired. She retired, but in the past she was working, so she had more money in the past. She was working.
Because she was working, right? Because she was working. She had more money in the past. Now, she is retired. Okay, so Sarah retired from her job of 23 years. Because she's retired, she has less money than she used to.
Yes.
Did she used to have more money?
Yes, she used to have more money.
Yes, exactly. She used to have more money.
Used to.
In the past, she had more money.
Yes.
Did she used to have more money? Or did she used to have less money?
She used to have more money.
She used to have more money. And now? Does she have more or less money?
Now she has less money.
Now she has less. Why does she have less?
Because she retired.
Because she retired from her job. That's right, because she retired.
From her job.
Who used to have more money?
Sarah used to have more money.
Sarah. Sarah used to have more money. She used to have more money. Now she has less money. But she has enough money for herself. Okay, she has enough money for herself.
Yes, she has enough money for herself.
Can she pay for food?
Yes, she can't pay for food.
Yes, she has enough money for herself. She can buy food.
Yes, she can buy food.
Does she have enough money for other people?
No, she doesn't have enough money for another people.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't have enough money for other people. She only has enough money for herself. Why does she only have enough money for herself?
She has enough money for herself because she retired.
Well, because she retired, right?
Her job
She retired.
20
Retired
years.
can be a verb, an action. She retired from her job. Action.
Yes.
Or an adjective describes. She is retired. She is retired. Or she retired from her job.
Yes.
Same word. Okay, so she used to have enough money for other people, but now she is retired. Also, now she has a problem. Oh no, another problem. Who has a problem?
Sarah has a problem.
Sarah. Sarah has a problem. What is Sarah's problem?
Sarah's problem is she has 2 sons.
Her problem is she has 2 sons.
Yes.
Does she have boys or does she have girls?
She has boys.
She has boys. How many boys does she have?
She has 2 boys.
2. She has 2 boys. Does she have enough money for her 2 boys?
No, she doesn't have enough money for her 2 boys. She doesn't
have enough money for her
herself.
2 boys. And why not?
Because she retired, so she only has enough money for herself.
Because she's retired now. She used to have enough money for her 2 boys, but now she doesn't have enough money for her 2 boys.
Yes.
So she has 2 sons. Who has 2 sons?
Sarah has 2 sons.
Sarah has 2 sons. What does she have?
She has 2 sons.
She has 2 sons. Sarah has 2 sons. One son is 23.
Yes.
And the other is 26. How old is the oldest son?
The oldest son is 26.
The oldest son is 26. The oldest son is 26. How old is the youngest son?
The youngest son is 23.
Well, the youngest son is 23. So the youngest son is 23. The oldest son is 26.
Yes.
How many sons are there?
Oh, there are 2 sons.
There are 2 sons. One is 23, and the other is 26.
Yes.
What is the youngest son's name?
Oh, the youngest son's name is Tony.
Tony. The youngest son's name is Tony.
Yes.
And what is the oldest son's name?
The oldest son's name is Dan.
Is it Tony?
No, not Tony. Tony
No.
is the youngest.
The youngest son's name is Tony, not the oldest son. What is the oldest son's name?
The oldest son's name is Dan.
Dan. The oldest son's name is Dan.
Yes.
So Dan is the oldest, and Tony is the youngest.
The youngest.
How old is Dan?
Dan is 26.
Dan is 26.
Yes.
How old is Tony?
Tony is 23.
Tony is 23. Who is Dan's mother?
Sarah is Dan's mother.
Sarah. Sarah is Dan's mother, of course. And who is Tony's mother?
Also Sarah. Sarah is Tony's mother.
Well, also Sarah, right? Also Sarah. Sarah is Tony and Dan's mother.
Mother, yes.
So, Sarah has a problem. What is her problem?
Her problem is her 2 sons are adults, but they still live with her, and she doesn't have enough money for her 2 sons.
She doesn't have enough money for Tony and Dan.
Oh, yes.
She only has enough money for herself. So she has 2 sons. Both sons work. Does Tony have a job?
Yes, Tony has a job.
Yes, Tony has a job. Both sons work. Does Dan have a job?
Yes, Dan has a job.
Yes, Dan also has a job.
Yes.
So they both have jobs. They both work.
Okay.
However, they both live at home with their mom. Oh no. Where does Tony live?
Tony lives at home with his mom. Sarah's house.
He lives with Sarah.
House.
He lives with his mom.
Sarah's house.
And Dan? Where does Dan live?
Dan lives at home with Sarah's, his mom.
Also at home with his mom. Tony and Dan live at home
with Sarah,
their mom.
Their mom.
So this is a big problem.
Yes.
Why is it a problem?
It is problem because they are adults, but they still live with their mom.
Well, because they are older. They are adults.
Adults.
Right? Tony is 23. Dan is 26. So they live at home with their mom. They eat her food and expect her to cook for them. So whose food do they eat?
They eat Sarah's food.
Sarah's, their moms. They eat Sarah's food. Tony and Dan eat Sarah's food.
Yes.
Oh no. Do Tony and Dan buy Sarah's food?
No, they don't buy Sarah's food. They only eat Sarah's food. Her food.
No, they don't. They don't buy her food. They only eat her food.
Yes.
Does Tony have money?
Yes, Tony has money. He has a job.
Yes, he does. He has a job.
Yes.
Does Dan have money?
Of course, Dan
Yes,
has
he does.
money.
He also has a job. Tony and Dan have money.
Money, yes.
But they don't buy food.
Aww.
They eat Sarah's food.
Yes.
Does Sarah have enough money for Tony and Dan?
No, Sarah doesn't have enough money for Tony and Dan. She only has
she
enough
doesn't.
money
She only has
for
enough
herself.
money for herself. What do Tony and Dan expect?
They expect Sarah to cook for them and clean
They
their
expect
rooms.
Sarah to cook for them. Do they think she should cook for them?
Yes, they think Sarah should cook for them.
That's right. They think Sarah should cook for them. They expect her to cook for them. Do they expect her to clean their rooms also?
Yes, they also expect Sarah to clean their rooms.
Yes, they also expect her to clean their rooms. They expect her to cook for them, and they expect her to clean their rooms. Do Tony and Dan help Sarah clean the house?
No, they never help Sarah to clean their house.
No, never. Tony and Dan never help Sarah clean the house. Only Sarah cleans the house.
Clean the
Do
house.
Tony and Dan help Sarah cook?
No, they never help Sarah to cook.
No, never. Tony and Dan never help Sarah cook.
Help Sarah cook.
Do Tony and Dan give money to Sarah?
No, they don't give money to Sarah.
No, never. They never give money to her.
Yes.
They never clean the house, and they never cook. They expect her to cook. They expect her to clean.
Yes.
Do the boys do any chores at all?
No, they never do any chores at all.
No, they don't. They never do any chores?
Yes.
Do they do any work in the house?
No, they don't. They never do any work in the house.
Chores. Chores are work in the house. For example, cleaning the house is a chore.
Yes.
Washing dishes is a chore.
Yes.
Cooking food is a chore.
Yes.
So, do Tony and Dan do any chores?
No, they don't.
Never.
They
never do any chores.
chores.
Where don't they do chores?
They don't do chores at Sarah's house.
In the house. They never do chores in the house. Whose house is it?
It is Sarah's house. It's Sarah's house.
It's Sarah's house. They live in Sarah's house. How old are Tony and Dan?
Tony and Dan are 23 and 26. Tony is 23.
23
Dan
and
is
26.
26.
Are Tony and Dan children?
No, they aren't.
No, they're not children. They're 23
They're not
and
children.
26. They are
adults. Adults.
Also, they don't pay for food or anything else.
Yes.
They don't do chores and they don't pay for food. They don't pay for rent. They don't pay for anything.
Yes.
Do Tony and Dan ever give their mom money?
No, they never give their mom money.
Never, never, never. They never give Sarah money. They never help Sarah with chores.
With chores.
But they expect her to cook. They expect her to clean. In short, they are mama's boys.
Mama's boys. Thank you.